So I'm just going to take you a project journey which we worked on in a very tight schedule. So that's all about how we worked on the project. So as you see right now, it's beyond the boundaries, the triumph of a decoupled web portal for an IDMC. IDMC is Internal Displacement Monitoring Centre, which is a non-profit organization, and it's part of the Norwegian Refugee Council. They are the parent company for that.
I don't have any audio.
So I'm Anam Srinivasan from Accelerant, and I work as a business analyst for this entire project right now. So I'm here to share you the experience, what we went through for Drupal, as well as the decoupled architecture. All right, a quite interesting story for this particular project is always when we work on a different projects, we will have a certain attachment to each project. There will be a different kind of journeys. So this one was selected for a project management institution, and we were the runners for the project. So we won that as a runners. So I'm happy that I was part of this project, and that's why it is really attaching to my heart. So this is what all about. I'm not sure how many of you that this is a Project Management Institute logo. So this was during the finalist, I just prepared the slide. Then later we came to know that we were the runners for this. So let's set the agenda. Obviously everyone will be looking for the same. So what I'm gonna complete or talk about this entire session, whether it is aligning. So the first point would be about IDMC. So I'll just take you through what our client is all about, what are their profile, what they are based on, everything. Then the entire journey. Of course, each project which we work, it is not a perfect project. Always we will have a challenges which we are not seeing it out. So those are the challenges which I'll take you out. Then the solutions implemented from that particular challenges, whatever we faced. And after that, the key features, impacts, and results. All right. So this is about Internal Displacement Monitoring Centre. So they work in and around most of the Asian countries, European countries, and they are mainly based upon the Europe, Swiss Geneva. So their parent company is, as I told earlier, Norwegian Refugee Council, and these were part of the internal displacement. So what they do normally is they collect the displacement data. They have a huge data repository, so wherever the natural calamities is happening or any kind of situations which the humanity is getting affected, so they collect all the data and they will have the information in their particular site. So this Internal Displacement Monitoring Centre to help the people to just get migrated from one city to another city due to the natural calamities or any other situations, either the war, whatever it is. So they will have the enough data for them to represent it for the governments. So this is the site is all about. And their story is a little bit of one bravery thing, which is like a determination and resilience. That's what I really like about our clients. And the finally one I would like to highlight over here is like they are also interconnected with the United Nations. Okay, so this is about Accelerant, since this project was part of the Accelerant team. So we are Accelerant. So if you wanted to have a digital experience designs, so we are the team. We will help you out to ensure that whatever the digital experience you would like to have it, we will just create it for you from our end. And the next journey, how the IDMC has started. So as you see always, when we wanted to get a project, we submit the RFPs. So the request for proposal was submitted for the same, and we submitted it from the Netherlands entity from our end for the same. And after that, the RFP was very challenging. The client was asking for a tight schedule of 3 months. That was the first code for they have. And the entire architecture needs to be changed. The technical architecture, they were having the Drupal backend and Drupal frontend. And apart from that, they need the SEO things to be scored well. And there are few problem statements which they have taken. I'll take you through those later. So these are the 3 things which they have put forth. First, like 3 months is the only time, and you know, right, when we work on the NGO projects, it is having a budget. They have a budget like, okay, this is the budget we have and this is the tight schedule. We need to ensure that it's been get completed before their next event happens. So that's how always the NGO clients has been focused on. So this was the site when IDMC came to Accelerant. So it was a straight blend site, I would say, like how we are seeing it. I have put it in a GIF right now. So this is the page. The other page which you are seeing, the last one, was the search page. So it was a straight one, which is having the filters. However, the problem statement from the IDMC was like, when their users wants to search something, they were not doing it from the site search. They were doing it from the Google. That was the problem statement. So if they wanted to see a page, land on a particular site, and that particular page, if they wanted to see, they were entering the information in the Google, and from there, they were landing on that particular page. The search was not working as expected in their particular site. That was the first problem statement. I think that really retries from the users to land on that particular page. They will think like, okay, even if I search on that site, it's not going to happen. So that was the first problem statement for them. Our search should work as expected. The filters should be user-friendly so that they can search the information from the site search. And the second thing was like a performance. So everyone is focusing towards the sustainability. So that was the one thing as part of the NGO they had. So as part of the NGO, they told like, we need the sustainability as well as the performance should be increased for our site. So that's how we became, we just suggested one more solution. Let's go for a decoupled architecture. So prior to that, it was a Drupal backend and Drupal frontend. So this is how the site was all about. So IDMC vision when they reached, as you see, they want to modernize their site. They wanted to ensure that they are being a best competitors as part of the non-profit organizations. And their objective was to create a smooth, user-focused experience. As I told, search and navigation was not good enough for them to navigate through the site. So they wanted to ensure that there is a user-focused experience is happening. And after that, unify website branding using IDMC branding guidelines. So whenever there is a site is getting revamped, they have a certain branding guidelines with this is the particular fonts they want to have, this is the particular title colors, this is the particular home page, or the hero image should be in this color, hero screen should be in this. So that branding guidelines they wanted to ensure that it's getting implemented on this particular revamp. One more thing I would like to highlight, everything was they were trying to fit into within 3 months of timeline. That was the challenge we had. And the next one was like improving content search system. So as I explained earlier. And next is like multi-level of admin and content management. So they were having a different levels of paragraph types. When we were using the Drupal, they were having a different types of paragraphs, but it was not used in a proper way by the content editors. The reason is for each node, they were creating each content paragraphs. It's not a different nodes. Whereas we suggested like, let's go with the paragraph loops that will give you more easily accessible and it can be reused. So that was the suggestions from our end, and how we implement it, I'll just take you through the next slides on that. The next one is like optimize website performance. So that is a common use case for all the sites, irrespective of non-profit or whatever it is. I need the website performance to be in a better way. So the suggestion was is like to have an decoupled architecture in different way, so that you can have the front end alone to align with the content and not the backend to be turned on. So that is how we have increased the website performance. Migrate content and data. So since it was on Drupal backend and front end, so when we introduced a decoupled architecture, how the front end UI gets migrated was really a challenging, because the paragraphs which was used only in such a way like it can be pulled over for the backends from the Drupal directly. But when you introduce a different decoupled architecture, either Gatsby or whatever it is, React.js, then the entire paragraphs needs to be recoded again from the hard coding, and we have to change it so that it's been pulled with the queries. So that is what they wanted to do, migrate content and data. And this was really a tough time for us, like because they were having a lot of data from the country perspectives. So in certain times, we ended up in creating the manual contents for them and start and adding the content data, so that it has been displayed in the search system. There are different types of content types they had. Let's consider they had around 16 to 17, let's the max. And out of that, only 13 were directly pulling from backend of the Drupal. Another 2 was like React.js directly, and it is from a different system. Another one was like they were having it from the different type of database, different team was handling it. And we have to ensure that it is neither, it's not only pulled to the front end, but it should be searched within the site, where it was a tough condition because it's not directly pulled from the Drupal. So we have to get that query as well. That was the tough part for migrate content and data. Create secure and durable website. I think it's straightforward. So they wanted to ensure that it's been sustainable and it's been easily accessible most of the users. So that is what we were focusing on that. So these were the IDMC visions. And last one is like enable meaningful application of Google Analytics. So when the Google Analytics scores were checked out, it was not giving the exact ranking what they wanted, which when they wanted to showcase it for the different governments, for the non-profit donations, or whatever the showcase they wanted to show, there are certain standards non-profit has to follow. So it was at one particular vision they wanted to achieve, enable meaningful applications of Google Analytics. And if you ask me if you have achieved everything through 3 months, let's see how it has been done. So this is IDMC's digital communication team's role. So whenever we work on a project, it's not about the project team alone. So we need the particular client team to be like aligned with us. So they were the enablers. I would like to call them as the enablers, the digital communication team. They were really providing the system supports and tools training if required. So when I say the tools training here, it is like they were handling a different kind of data systems through the different database. So those training they have given to us. And they were the advocates promoting best digital practice. So they have provided the IDMC branding guidelines. So that's how they have helped us. And the next one was they were the guardians, upholding standards and ensuring cohesion across the digital landscape. So they really helped us in all these 3 roles, I would say. Accelerant's role. So we were like strategic guidance. So as I highlighted earlier, IDMC visions when they told like, see, my client is not able to search and our site is not user-friendly, when they were giving only the problem statements and they are not sure about the solutions and how to get that implemented within that particular timings. So that's where we helped up. So that is how strategic guidance, shaping the web structure to align with IDMC goals. So my part as a business analyst comes into the picture. We went through different types of discoveries, had a different calls, workshops with the client. The client was like, I need everything within 3 months. So we drill down the different things into smaller tasks and prioritize it with the different workshops. So the first one we put was like the search. So we told them like, let's ensure that search is getting done within the site search and not from the Google. That is the very important thing we have to do first. So for implementing that, what we have to do, that's how we have drilled down. So the client was not able to drill down the things within the 3 months what needs to be done. So the first one, we prioritize the IDMC goals in such a way like search is the first one to get implemented. So how we will do it? We analyze the existing content data. So after analyzing the existing content data, different types of content, we ask them like, okay, which one is being used widely? What is the impact? From that, we analyzed which are the contents we have to migrate first. And after that, after getting all those data, so we provided the strategy like, okay, this is how we are going to work. We are going to work in around 3 months, within around 6 to 7 sprints at the max, within 2 weeks, I would say like, and we will ensure that it's been getting delivered within 3 months. Next is user-focused design. So when there were 2 phases, I would say. So we suggested when IDMC came up, they came up with only the phase 1 for 3 months. So after prioritizing, we told them like, let's go in 2 phases to be on safer side and to ensure that we have a durable site. So we went in 2 phases. So for the second phase, the client wants to get one particular content to get developed in a really an attractive UI manner. So that's how we have analyzed and we went up with the crafting UX based. For that, we provided the UX UI designs by incorporating IDMC branding guidelines. So that's why user-focused design over here. Architecting solutions. So building the technical foundation for the strategy. So they told like, I want the website performance to be improved. Tell me how it can be done. So we have analyzed and we told them like, let's go with the decoupled architecture. Gatsby is the one of the best options for that. Let's go with that. So you will have a Drupal backend and Gatsby would be the Drupal frontend and you can edit the content in the Gatsby frontend itself and it's not required you have to come back to the Drupal backend always. So that's how we have suggested the architect solutions. The last one is platform executions. So leading the development and launch of the platform. So these 2 are interrelated, I would say. When we suggest something and when we go for the deployment, when we start with the development, that's how the real problem comes into the picture. So what we have faced, I'll come to that later. Okay, so as part of that, strategizing decoupled Drupal and Gatsby. So if you look into this right now, so this is where the Drupal, and when initially we started, it was Drupal 9. So first we have migrated to Drupal 10, then we started with the Gatsby implementations. So this is the entire architecture in a simple manner, I would say like. So since it is a business analyst session, this is the simplest I can keep. I cannot go with the entire in detail things. So if you look into that, from data source Drupal, we have the Gatsby, which has been built, and HTML, CSS, React, it will be incorporated on that, and this is the final one. So once we start with the content management, once we start developing, we realize that we are facing problem with the deployment. So the platform.sh was our server, and when we were trying to deploy it in the Gatsby front end, the time for the deployment was very high. And we didn't realize that until we start development, because the content which they had, they were creating a lot of problems. One thing was like the content data. So the size of the data, we should have been calculated that. So every project will have a learnings. Always we learn with the mistakes. But how soon we correct it, does that matters. So we realized that we have to do something about this. Then the second thing what we noticed is, if you have a data, let's consider a paragraph with 3 fields. And the first field is null. There was no data given in the backend, and it was not marked as a required even. In that case, Gatsby deployment was failing. So the front-end deployment was completely failing. So we were not able to understand why it was not happening. So that was the 2 challenges we really had, and how we sorted out. That took really time for this entire project apart from that. So finally, another suggestion from the technical architect for the deployment was introducing the Netlify. So that was the deployment challenge we saw overcome by introducing the Netlify. So that the front-end deployment was easily done from the client itself. So until that, client was reaching out the team and asking for a deployment. That can be done when we are on the development phase. But once after that, when we go live, it's not possible. Client needs something when they change the data, they wanted to deploy it. So that's the reason we came up with Netlify, which is suggested with Gatsby. And there was something from Gatsby earlier, but by the time when we start this project, it was going for a sunset. So we couldn't go for that. So that's the reason we went with the Netlify for this. So this is the technical architecture we have introduced for the client as per their website, performance to introduce, and also improve the SEO, everything. Challenges faced. So changing the tech stack combinations. Every paragraph which was in the Drupal was not pulling out when we were migrated to Gatsby, because we have to rewrite the entire code how it has been pulled to the Gatsby. So that was really a challenge for us. Within the timeline was really a tight schedule for us. So around 29 paragraphs were there. So we wanted to change most of the paragraphs. We reached out to the client, we drilled down. So we wrote all the paragraphs. With the paragraphs reports, we found out how many paragraphs has been used, and the impact was analyzed, and we started with the most impacted ones. That's how we have migrated. Otherwise, definitely the 29 paragraphs within that timeline was not possible. So we just went with that. We analyzed and we checked, okay, which one are used and everything. We got the approval from the client, sign off. Then we changed everything to the Gatsby. And the GraphQL query, that was the one problem was having when we were doing the search also. So when we wanted to get the filter queries, there should be a separate GraphQL query has to be written, because it was handling through the decoupled architecture. It was not a direct call from Drupal backend. So the second one was like implementing the search functionality in Gatsby, as I told. So when we have the filters, different types of content, which is not directly from Drupal, they have a multiple integrated third-party pages as well. The client's expectation was to incorporate those pages as part of the search functionality as well. So up to an extent, we were able to do it. For the few, we ended up in creating the new content type for that, and we put an automatic upgrade for that, migrations, and we just migrated all those data into Drupal content type. Then it was pulled through the search. So that happened only for the one particular content type. Rest, we were able to achieve it in the phase 1. And only one which is regarding the countries, I would say. So they have around the data for 180 countries. So those data, it has been pulled from a different database. So we were not able to pull that. So that was taken care separately. We just implemented only for the search. So I'll show you the live demo for that site. The last one was like, as I explained earlier, hosting options, platform.sh, and Netlify for the deployment. So we went through all the challenges, everything was good. So finally, we are in the phase of deployment to the production. So these were the updated web designs if you see. So I just showed you the earlier one, how it was blunt and not colorful, attractive, how we have changed it after that. So updated website design is something always we focus on. The reason is like, when there is something colorful, we have a habit of looking into like, okay, this is pretty interesting. When it is a blend nowadays, we don't have that interest going through that entire site. So the homepage was really an important part. So the homepage was built with different types of components, around 13 to 14 components or paragraphs it's called. So that's how the homepage was built. The responsive design implementations. So when we implement any kind of site, I'm not sticking with that nonprofit, any kind of site, it should be like, I should be able to see that in mobile, tab, everything, it should be in a readable format. So we have to focus on that. So responsive design implementation was the one thing which we have implemented. Enhanced search functionality. So I was talking about the countries, right? So this was the country profile pages. They will have the map over there and different data from different country will be pulled. So that is called country profiles page. So enhanced search functionality would be, I would say, like seamless integration with the decoupled architecture. All the content types were able to pull it from the site search itself. So now none of the users are going to the Google and searching that particular use case and they are not landing on the site. They are searching everything inside the site. Better performance and searchability. So if you check, accessibility scores improved 28% after this revamp, and performance scores was 49%, and the Google Analytics the ranking, that was the, so it was a remarkable of 38% increase in that particular ranking. Enhanced data visualizations. So these are the few pages examples which are seeing over there. So earlier the data was not in a readable format for them. So we just ensure that it has been in visualizations. I can identify easily what I wanted to look on. So that was the enhanced data visualizations. Streamlined navigations. So navigations, when I say from anyone wants to go from the home page, the main menu, I wanted to go to a different type of, let's consider article. So it was not in a right way, the earlier navigations, it was like they were confused. So after this revamp, the menus were aligned properly so that the user can easily navigate through the site. So commitment to excellence and user-centric designs. So when we were going through all these platform, I would say like challenges, deployment challenges, or any kind of architecture challenges which we're facing, it was really a support from the client end as well, and we just kept it open, what we are facing right now. So the communication was proactive from our end, instead of the client asking what's happening, why there is no update. So that's how commitment to excellence. So whatever we are facing, if we are able to put it in a right way, so this is what we are facing, this is how we are trying to sort it out. That's where we stand. And user-centric design is something like we are just giving that trust to the client, like, okay, the final out would be the one which you are expecting. So that is how it should be. So executing these transformations, we really did a deep sense for the care, and that's what dedications to the project, and the client was very supportive in that way. So this, I have given you the data earlier. Okay, so I'll take you through the demo for the site. So if you see right now, this is the home page. So when I was talking about the navigations, if you click on this, the navigations is pretty straight. They will be able to understand. So what is internal displacement? Whatever the details which they wanted to know about, IDMC has kept it over here. Data and analysis, and their about us. So the home page is completely made up of different types of paragraphs so that it can be reused in different pages. That's how we have suggested, and that different combinations attributes was given to the paragraphs. So these were their different types of taxonomy terms, I would say technically. Otherwise, for a user, it's a different types of filters. So regarding this grid, what we are seeing, I was talking about the phase 2. So that was client was focusing on Grid 2024 launch for them. It's really a big event. So they reached us stating that with another, again, 3 months, stating that we have to entirely design the new page, new designs, get it implemented before the event, because the event is really big and they have to showcase it for the government. So this was part of the phase 2. So this is how the data visualization has been enriched, if you see. So this is how the home page. Now, I'll go to the search. So if you remember, the search was completely a direct filters earlier, and there was no designs at all. They were not able to. But now we have given different types of filters. And if you click on any type of filter, you will be able to see that. So I'm just clicking on expert analysis. So they don't need to go onto that particular Google and search for this one. They can reach over here and they can get that done. So this is how the site search got increased. And I was talking about different type of integrations with different database pages. So this was the one. So country profiles, and if you go each country, it will give you the information regarding that. So this was not available in search earlier for them. They were not able to search country profiles from their site search. So after this revamp, they were able to. So this was the one ask which got implemented. Now, as part of the phase 2, we have implemented this grid page, as I told. This entire page we designed from the initial phase, then we implemented it. So they have different types of tabs. So this is how we have enhanced the data visualizations for them. So this was there in their site earlier. The reason was it was not user friendly. So this is the country spotlights, and it's different types of paragraphs. So this was the launch event I was talking about. So they wanted us to complete it before this particular event. So it happened on 14th May in Geneva, and it was a huge event for them. So that's all about this demo right now. So this is all about the site. So any of the non-profit organizations, when we work, they are advancing the human rights through the digital transformations. So everything they were writing it in earlier, if you look, the particular person will cite the site and just note it down on the papers. They kept it in the data format. So how we help as a digital team, that matters for them. So advancing human rights through digital transformations. So this is how we have done it for IDMC. So this is just a voice from the client right now. So what was their experience after they have completely revamped it? We just would like to hear it from all the customers. It's not about the scores or anything, but it is about the satisfactions. When they say that, how much we have implemented, how much effort we have given it, the success rate is completely based upon these words, I would say.